guys, Kavone here, and welcome to a newbie guide to Invention. Now, hopefully this will be a very quick guide on how you get started with it, how you train it, possibly the best places to train it, how to make augmenters, i.e. getting the components you need from. I'm going to go a little bit more into detail with Gizmos. Although I'm not going to discuss what perks are good. You can find that out for yourself. So, first of all, Invention requires level 80 smithing, crafting and divination, and it's an elite skill, which means the XP in Invention is different to the XP in all the other skills. Now, you reach 13 million around level 70-ish. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? Or maybe a bit more than 70-ish. So, the best way to train Invention, I find, well, definitely XP-wise, is through combat. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. So the process to train Invention, and this is what I did. So I went to the Invention Guild, which I'm showing you the route on screen right now. I went to the Invention Guild at level 1, so you can then do a tutorial there. You get a bunch of components out of it, and you get level 4 out of it. Once you're level 4, you're going to want to buy 2 black salamanders, and you're going to want to make 2 augmenters. Now, I'll go into what you need for augmenters in a little bit. Now, with those black salamanders, you want to augment them, and you want to go train combat with them. Now, I'm going to tell you good places to train item XP. However, these probably won't be the best for the black salamanders. So the Abyss, which is located in level 12 Wilderness. The Abyss itself, you can't be PK'd in there, don't worry. Check out some of my other videos on the Abyss. You could do Aerits. I hear those are really good XP. Goblin Dungeon bosses, I find, are extremely good item XP as well. Those are what I do. Aside from that, there's quite a few other things you can do. I mean, you can do Ganos, because Ganos are going to be one of the few things that you can kill for item XP that will help you break even. So, once you've got both those black salamanders to level 5, you're going to want to disassemble them, and disassembling an item completely deletes it from the game, so you probably won't want to do this with level 90 weapons. There is another way to train Invention with level 90 weapons, as I have been doing. I'll go into that a little later. So once you reach level 27 in Invention, which is after you've broken down 2 black salamanders at level 5, you will be able to discover item level 10 and siphons. At that point, just keep doing what you're doing, but let the items get to level 10 first. There are other ways of training Invention. There are tools that you can make along the way, for fishing, mining, woodcutting, etc. So if you're not into combat, you can train Invention that way. They're quite slow, as you'd expect, because those are slow skills compared to combat. Now, siphons, equipment siphons. What siphons will do is, when you use them on an augmented item, it will reset the XP down to 0, and it will give you Invention XP based on the level of the item. Now it gives 2 item levels lower XP than disassembling. So if you use a siphon on an item that's, let's say, level 10, it'll only give you item level 8 XP for Invention, but it doesn't destroy the item. This is how you train Invention with tier 90 stuff, because you don't want to be breaking down that Nox scythe every few hours. So I wouldn't recommend using siphons until you unlock item level 15, because what you will then want to do is you want to get the items to item level 12 and then use a siphon on them, reset back to 0, and then build it back up to 12. When I do this, I get about 650k XP pop when I use the siphon. That's another thing with Invention, you're gonna get massive XP pops. If you're someone that likes farming because of the XP pops that you get, you're gonna like Invention, because you're gonna see hundreds of thousands of XP in one click, basically. Now, for augmenters, what do you need for augmenters? You need base parts, you need tensile parts, you need enhancing components, and you need powerful components. You also need energy, which is divination energy. It varies depending on the energy you use, but I use the top tier energy because that's actually at the moment the cheaper, but it all really depends on price, so keep an eye out for that. Now, for base parts, I'm gonna show on screen a trip, well, sort of a trip that I use. You want to go to NPC shops that sell weapons. There's one in the Warriors Guild in Berthorpe, which requires at least 99 attack, strength, or combined 130 attack and strength. And in there's a shop which you can buy swords and things like that. From these shops, don't buy battle axes; they won't give you base parts. There's also one in Varrock, and there's some littered around everywhere. So I'd recommend just buying up to Mithril and break all those down. You can buy Addy, you'll get more base parts from Addy, but Addy's more expensive, so it really depends on your budget. For tensile parts, what I do is use shield bows unstrung, because they're very, very cheap. So normally I go around 300 of them at a time. So you definitely want to look at unstrung bows for the tensile parts, and they're very easy to get. Now those two parts are the easy part. The difficult part with augmenters are the enhancing components and the powerful components. Now, enhancing components, I'm afraid there is only one real good thing to break down for these, and those are Slayer rings. So to be able to make Slayer rings, because you cannot buy these, you have to have at least 75 crafting actually, I believe, which obviously you're going to have with Invention. But you also have to have learnt the recipe from a Slayer Master for Slayer points. And the process is you buy the enchanting gems from the Slayer Masters, bank them, go back for more, and then you have to craft them. So it's tedious, but there's really nothing anywhere near as good in terms of yielding enhancing components. Powerful components, depends how much you want to spend. I go for Spirit Terrorbear pouches, but I know some people that do yak pouches, and I see some people that do staves. The thing with all these components is you can actually see what yields them if you hover over them in the in the Invention interface. So once you've got enough parts for an augmenter, then you have to go to Falador, and then to the Invention Guild. You have to use that workbench to do any of your making stuff in Invention. You don't need them to use charges or siphons, so bear that in mind. Oh, that's another thing. Now, when you augment an item, it becomes untradeable, and if it was degradable, except for certain items, it will not be degradable, but it will drain charges. Now, when you run out of charges, you can't use any of your augmented stuff. And you have a charge pool for all your augmented stuff, so instead of repairing 2 weapons and 3 pieces of armor, you just refill 1 charge pool for all of them. And you do this using divine charges, which give 3,000 charges per use. That's not much. I find using tier 90s, an hour of tier 90 use is about 30,000 charges, so that's somewhere in the region of 800 to 900k. So if you were to add that up compared to the repair price, it is a little bit more expensive, but at the same time you're able to put gizmos as well. And Invention is an expensive skill. Know that now. Invention is going to be extremely expensive. Now I'm going to quickly cover gizmos. Now, when you make gizmos at the workbench, you can then add materials by clicking them in your inventory. And you get given an interface where you're able to put 5 materials onto the gizmo, and once you've finished doing that, you'll get given a perk or up to 2 perks per gizmo onto that gizmo. They can be bad, they can be good. So what you want to do is you want to actually look on the wiki if you're looking for any particular perk. Now I'm going to include this in the video. On the wiki, if you look for a particular perk, you will see a table at the bottom which tells you the materials you need to get each rank of those perks. So for instance, if you wanted Aftershock perk, you need some of these components which I can't pronounce. But for instance, if you put 5 of these components, you definitely get level 3 in that perk, providing that that perk is the only thing that uses that component. So bear that in mind. You can get some really good gizmos from this with multiple good perks. So bear that in mind. That is pretty awesome when that happens. Now, to add a gizmo onto an item, you just use it on that item. The item has to have gizmo slots free, so make sure it does. So I think I've covered everything. I haven't covered sort of skilling with Invention, but honestly skilling works almost the same as combat. Whereas in combat you get item XP off attacking mobs and killing mobs. With skilling you get item XP off catching a fish or cutting a log, for instance. So it works in exactly the same way. You can dismantle, you can siphon all the items you use for skilling, as long as they're augmented as well. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully this is useful to someone or everyone, and thanks for watching.